Welcome, everybody. Today's conversation is going to be a fascinating one because we're talking about something almost every business thinks they understand, but most really don't. Customer experience. Joining me today is Michael Glazer from Premierservices, a company that works behind the scenes helping brands uncover what's actually happening inside their stores, restaurants, and customer interactions through mystery shopping, operational audits, merchandising reviews, and market research. What stood out to me talking with Michael is that this isn't theory-based consulting. His team is literally in the field gathering unfiltered behavioral data companies otherwise never see. Michael, glad to have you on.
Thank you very much for having me. Looking forward to it.
So you mentioned during our prep call that most businesses know what is happening from their numbers, but not necessarily why. When did that realization really crystallize for you?
I think that was a crystallization that happened back in 91, 92, believe it or not. At the very outset of the business, when we first started up, I read that quote somewhere, and I've been using it as my own for the last 35 years, to the tune of, a P&L ledger or statement will tell you how your business is doing. Mystery shopping will tell you why. And I just love that. It sums it all up.
I got you. Well, before we dive even deeper, tell me what got you into this business. What were you doing before, and then what made you realize that this is something that you wanted to pursue and build as a business?
Well, since we started it back in 1991, I wasn't doing much before. I mean, I was quite young at the time. I was doing my undergrad at McGill University in Canada, and we had to do a business plan as a school project. So there's an entrepreneurship course, and I'm like, okay, what could I pick for a business? And at the time, I had a job, part-time evenings, as an undercover store detective, catching shoplifters and whatnot. And one service that was offered was called honesty shopping. And that was things like where you would take, let's say, $1, walk in as a regular customer, put the dollar on the cash desk, and then at the end of the shift, management will look at the cash rolls to make sure that the cashier actually entered the transaction and didn't pocket the money. So it was there to test for internal shrinkage, business abuse. And I saw that going on. Like, that's a pretty cool thing to do. And I thought, why don't we use that concept of undercover shoppers, but instead of catching, stealing and whatnot, let's try and use it to catch smiles and customer service. So did some research. It was very new back then. Nowadays, almost everyone's heard of mystery shopping, secret shopping. It's rather ubiquitous. Get paid to shop. You see the ads on TikTok and everything. But back then it was pretty new. So went to the library, did the research. There were a handful of companies doing it back then, very, very few. But I said, hey, this could be a viable business. And that's how it started with one client after a couple of weeks of intense research and whatnot. And then 2 clients, 3, and here we are 35 years later. And my mother is still asking me when I'm going to get a real job. So there you go.
So you said you started in Canada, but now you're not located there. Where are we talking to you from today?
Exactly. I'm in Tennessee, East Tennessee. We were in Canada for most of these 35 years, but 2.5 years ago, we opened an office down here. So I came down with the family, and this is where I am now, and absolutely love it down here. It's absolutely incredible.
And what's your coverage range and providing this service?
Oh, it's all across North America. There's no city that we can't do. Hopefully we have shoppers in our database. If we don't, we get on the horn. I mean, back in 91, to find people, we'd have to go to the local library that had white pages from all different cities, and we'd go through there. Nowadays, still a challenge. We get these visits. It's mystery shops in these tiny towns, which could be Canada or the US for that matter. 700, and we got a mystery shop, the gas station there. So the challenges are still there, but we find the mystery shoppers. We offer 100% completion. I've never told the client in the last 3 decades, sorry, we have no one in that city. We'll find a way to make it happen.
Interesting. That's really great. That's what's fascinating me about your business. And one of the things that I think really piqued my interest in that was, what are businesses usually most surprised to discover once you have unfiltered the customer experience?
I think the biggest shock overall is just understanding and seeing the gap between policy and implementation. I mean, it's very easy to be at a head office somewhere and say, this is what our store should look like. These are the 7 selling steps we should follow. Every customer should be greeted. Every customer should get an add-on before they bring the jeans into the fitting room. Every store should be, every associate should be upselling. If someone does take a pair of jeans to the fitting room, offer them a belt. What a great way to get your units per transaction up. So it sounds great on paper. Well, we got a binder, we got the online videos. Then you come back with a mystery shopping report. And wow, that's where the improvement is warranted when they see that.
That's interesting. It's kind of that struggle between corporate perspective and live in action happening. So, from your perspective, where do leadership teams most commonly lose visibility between what they think is happening operational and what customers are actually experiencing?
Well, I think it's across the board, because if you are a company president or vice president or a district manager or regional manager, when you go do your store visits for the week, I could assure you the stores look clean, the customers are being well served. But the minute management leaves those stores, it's a free for all. And I have to say, though, for the most part, the reports we get back, they're not horror stories. I like to position these programs as catching people doing something good. Store employees cannot look at a mystery shopping program as a big brother is watching us. There's enough of that going on out there nowadays, that
Sure.
these programs are not there to catch this person who didn't greet the customer and this person who ignored the customer. No, that's going to happen. But even during those interactions where the score on a mystery shopping report might be a 45%, out of 100, they still got 45 points. So every time I start with a new client, I always say, you have to use this for the good. And if there is a terrible survey that comes back with a clerk that was indifferent and put his or her back to the sales floor, they might have done something right. So I say, please take the survey, use it as a coaching tool, and don't just use it to pick out the bad, what's wrong. Use it for the good. And that's the whole purpose of this, to help give people feedback, because the old expression, what doesn't get measured doesn't get done, is very true. You could look at any store and look at their metrics. This is their shrinkage. This is their units per transaction. This is their sales for the day. Okay, that's all great, but those figures are out of the hands of an individual sales associate. What if it was raining all week? What if store traffic was down? What if there was construction in the mall? Those figures do not tell the truth. But when you see a mystery shopping report, all 30 questions, how the store looked, how you were treated, were you offered service, were you offered extra items, did they thank you, did they offer their loyalty card? That's where you see it's actually in the control of that one particular employee in the store. So what great feedback. It's amazing in that sense.
So you also made an interesting observation about how your client's base has shifted towards both luxury brands and lower end customer categories, almost reflecting the erosion of the middle class.
Yeah, exactly.
What
Middle class?
Yeah. So what are you seeing there, and how is it changing customer behavior?
Well, what's interesting is, one interesting thing now is with the availability of credit, you find people going to buy luxury items that would never have bought luxury items in the past. So it's very interesting. It used to be that you had certain segments that would shop at different stores, but nowadays anybody could shop anywhere. You got your credit card maxed out and you see a Rolex on some guy who has not one penny to his name. So you see a very wide group of different customers in stores that you would not normally expect them. That's what I've just seen personally. I have no empirical evidence to show that, but that's the impression that I get. And like you said, our client base has shifted, because back in the day, retail was booming. Shopping malls were being put up. Occupancy was all over the place. It was just completely 100%. Nowadays, I don't know if you've gone to a mall lately. I don't know how it is in Florida, but there are a lot of empty locations. A lot of malls are ghost towns, So it used to be I could walk into a shopping mall and just say, oh, that's a client, that's a client, that's a client. Nowadays, it's really shifted. We're doing a lot of real estate mystery shopping. That's new to us. Luxury goods, automotive, car dealerships, car manufacturers. So it really is not just going to a store and trying on a sweater and doing that. It's banks. It's really shifted a lot.
Interesting. Yeah, I know in our market there are some malls that are still kind of going on, but there are some that are almost flatline dead. One by a big university is actually being repurposed for a living facility. So the food court stays there, and then every store turns into a living facility.
There you go.
We also talked briefly about AI during the prep call, and how AI automates more customer interactions. Where do you think companies risk losing authenticity versus actually improving operational efficiency?
Well, what's interesting is our business is really focused on brick and mortar, right? Your service that you get on Amazon.com, we don't really service a lot of those companies, because our forte is having people in all 50 states, all 10 provinces. So I could speak for the brick and mortar type of places. And in terms of the AI, so to speak. I think one of the biggest challenges or opportunities for these brick and mortar stores would be more of an omni-channel solution, because you could, order something on your phone, have it shipped to the store, go to the store and get it, initiate a return policy, ask questions. So even if you are a brick and mortar store, there is a lot of room now to use the web, AI tools, agents to really help connect with the customer. But like you mentioned, authenticity is a problem. Sometimes AI is overused. Sometimes it's wonderful. I mean, I just had a return to do last week. I bought headphones for my daughter, and they weren't working when they arrived. So I went to the Amazon chat. No, sorry, there were two things I returned. The one thing I couldn't return, we bought some Hershey's cocoa powder that leaked all over the place. And you can't return food. So I was like, okay, chatbot time. So I clicked on the chat with us, and my gosh, it was great. Okay, what's wrong? What's the problem? Sorry to hear that. Let's fix this for you. You don't have to send it back. You could just use it if you want. Just right through the whole, how do we do? Like, that is a fine use of AI technology. There was no 30-minute hold time. There was no, rep who didn't speak my language. So if you use it properly, it's a wonderful tool. If you don't use it properly, that's where a lot of companies have problems, I think. And speaking to that online situation, what I find is an area of very, very, very improvement that is needed, so to speak, would be when you're chatting online, whether it's a person or a chat bot, when you have to change departments. You'll chat with someone. There's a problem with my bill. Okay, explain the story. Let me transfer you to somebody else. Oh, it's a business account. Okay, let me transfer you to somebody else. And sometimes you got to retell the whole story. Sometimes they don't read it, and you're waiting 5 minutes in between. So the passing of the baton between departments, that's something I think some companies could use a little more polishing.
Interesting. So you've seen operations obviously across many industries. What are the subtle things that the best operators consistently get right that average businesses overlook?
I think, what makes a business great or grow, in my opinion, is when their procedures and processes are well documented, well coached, well understood, and you don't leave too much room for interpretation. If let's say you own a restaurant, you're starting a restaurant, it's doing phenomenally well, great service, great food. You open a second restaurant. Okay, you're like, hey, this is doing very well. Again, going pretty well. You got to go back and forth between them. Now expand that to 40 restaurants. Like, all the recipes that you had, some of which are in your head, all your service standards that are also in your head. I mean, you have to get that down on paper. You have to simplify it, repeat it, and then that goes to the 40 of your restaurants. And that's when you see things are consistent across the board. But if you skip that step, if companies don't have a very clear, sales process, I see that with some clients. Sometimes I meet a client and I'll say, okay, we want to design a survey to match what's going on in the store. What are your sales standards? And the managers will say, okay, we got to be greeted in 30 seconds. We got to offer an add-on. We got to do this. We have to, okay, that's interesting. Then you go to other clients and say, okay, so what's the process in the store? When do you want people to be greeted? Is it a certain feet in the store? Is it within, certain feet of a rep? Is it certain? They look at each other and say, oh, that's a good question. What do you think? And then, like, if there's confusion at that level, how could you expect there are 50 stores to offer the same level of service?
Got it. So looking ahead over the next few years, what do you think businesses will need to understand about customer behavior that they're still underestimating today?
I think at a fundamental level, there's no trick, there's no magic here. I always tell our clients, if they do ask us to help with their procedures, I think at a fundamental level, I just say, have your employees treat the store like their homes. Joe, when someone goes to your house, do you greet them when you open the door? Yes. Yeah. Do you maybe offer them something? Do you ignore them? No. Do you greet them on the way out? Say goodbye? Yes. So no matter how much things change, people often ask me, how has things changed in the last 35 years? And you know what? Very little, to be honest. I could take a mystery shopping survey, and I still have it on my computer. It's a WordPerfect document, but I could change the extension and open it in Word. 91, 92. It was a cookie company they had like 15 branches selling cookies. And I could take that survey and take a survey for a very similar quick serve restaurant today, 35 odd years later, and it's pretty much the same. It's the greeting, it's the offering of a sample, it's keeping the smudge marks off the counters, it's thanking the customer, it's handing the receipt, it's answering questions, knowledgeable questions. You ask a question about a product, Did they tell you what's in there? It hasn't changed. And I bet 35 years before that, it hasn't changed. And 35 years from now, when you walk into a store, provided you're still served by humans, I'm assuming customer service will still be the same.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing really is that no matter what technologies or what changes happen in our world, in our environment as humans, is that there still has to be a level of success that is measured through an authentic interaction between two or more human beings to have success. And if we don't lose that authenticity, then we'll have success. And if we let it go because we think other things are going to solve the problem for us, that's when we fail.
Yeah, that seems to make sense. And I do believe that, especially in our industry, because we are working in the brick and mortar world. People ask me all the time, how has AI impacted your business and whatnot? If you're a consultant making reports all day, then AI is a huge part of what you're doing. If you're an engineering firm, doing soil samples before you're building real estate buildings, yeah, what you could do in AI would take people days and days to make a report. But in our business, 90% of it is really human interacting with human. Let's evaluate it. Let's analyze it. Let's report on it. Let's improve it. So my perspective on AI is probably less exciting than someone else who is drafting a lease as a lawyer or doing a actuarial report as a statistic. If you're a statistician, something that would have taken you all week to do, you're looking at 3 minutes with an LLM.
Right.
A lot of opportunities there for us. And I'm actually grateful that it's not, we use it as a tool, and it's an amazing tool for certain things. But at a fundamental level, we're there when humans meet humans.
Well, and I think you hit the nail on the head. And a lot of people are scared of this AI thing or whatever that may be, or however they perceive it. But again, it's like you said, no matter what it is, it's being used as a tool, no matter at what level, and that it still comes back to that human element of interaction. So, Michael, this has been fantastic. I really appreciate how practical and grounded your perspective is, because it comes with real world observations, not just dashboards and reports, like you said. So thank you very much for your time today on that. And if anybody wanted to pursue more information about what you do or provide an opportunity to consult with you, where would they find you?
Yeah, best place would be our website, Premierservice.cx for customer experience. So everything is there. Fill out a form, email address, phone number. If you're a mystery shopper and want a mystery shop, that's where you sign up. If you're a client who wants to improve your business, then that's where you reach out to us, Premierservice.cx.
Sounds great. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
So that's it.
That was quick.
It was quick. I think we got to the point pretty quick on there. So I didn't want to keep drawing it out. I think that the key matrix that I'm trying to present to my listeners was covered in every question I asked. Still fell back to your authenticity, because you are still working hand to hand with people, regardless of whatever tools are out there.
Yeah.
So I think that's great. And, some of these don't need to be drug out. It's just about hearing about that opportunity and be able to keep it at a length that keeps everyone engaged and interested.
Yeah,
for sure. So, I mean, you answered all my questions with great detail. So right. I appreciate that. So
you could edit out when I drone on too much. You could just cut it.
Well, I did a little bit of and I'm trying to stop doing all the time. And I've noticed since doing these podcasts, I get caught up in my thought. So, things to work on and everything. So,
well, AI takes care of that. All right. Riverside, get that all out for you.
It should. Yeah. Although what I've recognized recently and why I'm doing the Zoom versus the Riverside too, is I have one where my audio is not following the words that are put on the screen. So I'm trying to slow that down, and I haven't really figured it out with Riverside Audio. I've actually got a technical question in to solve that problem, because I have it on 2 of my podcasts where my start is like I start moving my lips and then the words kick in, and it's like, well, this is way off. You can't start out the conversation like that. And then the other thing too is that when you do the edits and stuff, it doesn't allow for a long enough pause before you start. I'm working on trying to drag out that pause myself in the beginning, but if you allow it to edit, it's going to go right to the word and start right there. So just little things that I'm learning using the tool. But that's really all I have for this. What I'm going to do is edit this whole thing, and then I'll send you an email with kind of the basic edit that comes out of this, and we'll go from there. And I mean, if there's any other topics you want to talk about or anything that I can do to support your cause, I'm going to make my son sign up for the Tampa location because he's home for
Nice.
2 months and needs to make money.
Good.
If you've got
Hook me up with your real estate clients. They'd love us. If they have actual different doors, different buildings. Yeah, for sure. Real estates those are great clients.
So I think what I can do is I have a follow-up with a couple of my real estate clients in the next couple of weeks where I'm going to go through and help them put some strategies together using AI to one is a real estate investor. One is a real estate company that's looking to find other real estate agents that are frustrated with their current lack of opportunities and how they can help across the nation. Another is a multifamily, multi-purpose developer. And I think all those could be ones that I could put in touch with you as far as different ones. One of the one developer guy, I got like 4 calls booked for him through people I've talked to. So he owes me. I even got a robotics company that does valet parking on robotics. So you don't have to wait for the valet to run and take one car and then run all the way back and get your car. Just you leave the car there, you put it on a schedule, and a robot comes, picks it up, and parks it in a vending machine like Carvana.
Really? That's super interesting.
Yeah, for a lot of these cities that don't have the same landscape as open country.
Wow.
So they're building these multifamily developments that have multiple purposes too. So the lower levels are like restaurants or coffee shops and barber shops and things of that nature. So you don't have to leave your facility for anything. Kind of like a luxury hotel. Right?
Interesting. Very interesting.
And it's great when you got that, but then you've got 300 people that you got to manage parking for. Well, the first people you got to manage parking for are the people that live there, the residents.
Right. Yeah, of course.
Not the incoming traffic, right?
Right.
So if you can put those cars away somewhere where nobody knows and you just schedule to pick it up at a certain time, pretty cool.
That's great. Oh, by the way, the name of the company is Premier Service, not Premier Services. I just saw it in the chat that came through. Not a big deal.
I think we said it right on there, but it was Premier Service.
Yeah, you said Michael Glazer from Premierservices. Yeah,
I did.
Yeah, not a big deal. You don't have to edit it out.
The wording, I'll make sure to try to catch that.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
And it was Premier Services XL.
No, Premier Service
CX. That's what I was trying to look.
I have also .ca, .us.
I gotcha. All right. You have any other questions for me right now?
No, I think we're good. Look forward to checking it out.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. Have a great day. You too. Thanks. Go Habs. Bye.
Bye.